Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to pre-order upcoming Force of Will sets, ccgprime.com for singles and supplies, cardodoko.com for those rulers in the international market looking for product, as well as our guest lecturer members Vite Ramen and Full Grammar Alchemist. Class is in session.
It's not good.
Hey, the rulers, welcome back after a long week of Force of Will and trying to help Mike understand what cards do. And your favorite ever live Force of Will podcast is Office Hours, featuring myself, DMO73, and I'm joined as always by Paul Reisman.
Hey, everybody.
And Mike Rance.
I finally read the extension rule for Gil Giotto. What the?
And joining us for the first time live, though he has been working behind the scenes quite a bit, and if you've noticed in deck profile videos lately, has designed a lot of the deck profiles for the channel, to Neeb Valungan himself, aka Dominic from over the pond. Dominic, good morning.
Hello.
Glad
to be here.
Yeah, glad to
Is that
have
the
you.
official country he's from?
He's over the.
I'm from Austria.
He's from Austria.
Okay.
He's our on our sister campus over in Austria. He's working hard over there for us here at Ruler School.
At Polar School, Austria campus.
We're here. We're chatting. We're just having a good old time. We were chatting before about before this, trying to help Mike understand cards, because Mike confirmed for FowFest. Mike is confirmed for FowFest. We can do the podcast.
Took 4 years.
We can do the podcast live. Woo!
Fuck, we're doing it live.
All in person.
That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah. Maybe we'll record a live session.
Let us know. Let us know in the comment section if you want a live Ruler School office hours.
We should all in one person. We'll film it.
I would like that.
And then we'll kind of see what goes on. Maybe we'll do it on Sunday night of the event, and we'll stream it and then kind of chat. Because you'll all be back on.
Yeah.
You'll be back on planes going home on Monday when we would normally guest.
Yeah.
So we're here. We're talking about it. Not a lot of news over this past week. We did have our first Paradox event for the Ruler School circuit for the Skib display mats. That we had 16 players, which is a great turnout for our first turnaround in Paradox. And it was our first point of good data. So I would like to kind of talk about it. So we had 16 players. We had a really crazy spread of rulers, with the kind of biggest point of contention is we had 2 zeros. We had a Gil Lapis Giotto and a solo Giotto, and those were the only overlaps except for 4 Glorious Mask players. They were playing, one was a heavy control, 3 of them were one of them was pretty traditional, 2 of them were pretty heavy control, one of them was this cool aggro line with Jeremy Lindley, who ended up being the one to take it with the whole event. So we got some good details of Mask. We also saw Adelbert doing some silly things. It was interesting. Dom, you played in that event and unfortunately bubbled at 9th. I'm sorry, but you were playing a ruler that I don't think people were really paying attention to at all. You were playing Helen, not Lehen. Yes. Helen. So why don't you walk us through a little bit about how that went, kind of what went into that, and your thoughts and experiences about Paradox.
Yeah, so the format is pretty revolving around a few key cards. Oh, of course, Mask and Giotto. So the idea is you play with the edition, the Proto-Petapolis. It's a very good edition because it answers the Mask. It answers a lot of things. A lot of things have barrier or resonators. So it's a bit of a meta call, and you take a lot of damage in Paradox. So it passively heals you up again. And I played a kind of list that combined the Regil cards, the Expel bottom cards, cheat stuff in, and chance to make a lot of value. And the idea is you can use the Helen to always know what's on bottom. So you can always stack it so that you always know what's on bottom deck to expel.
So you can explore every single turn. So you can stack the bottom, so you always know what you're expelling. Yeah. That's pretty clever.
Hey, bro.
That's pretty clever.
And I lost. I lost to Lulu because that deck is actually quite insane.
Was it just too fast for you?
Yeah, a lot of 1-drops and
sure.
fun luck, but it was very good.
Do you think that with some sideboard tech to maybe better call for Lulu, you'd be in a better position?
Yeah, definitely. There were some cards that were not as good, but I think the format has very deep reach to what you can build and what is like
Sure.
you
One
want.
of the cards that I think we'll see a lot in Paradox, if there is kind of an aggression piece to it currently, new format, people try to go fast, right? Is the idea of Lunar Protective Life Form. Like that feels like a card that would probably be pretty good into Lulu. Used it against Paul. It's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
So, Yo-Yo Fow asking in the chat if you had shamans. I don't think you were playing shamans in your list.
No, I was playing like a lot of cheating stuff myself with like the root shield stuff, so you cannot play shaman.
Right.
Doesn't work. But that was played against me. But the light lightning is just the best art there is.
Yeah,
so,
light lightning's pretty good.
Yeah, won me a lot of games.
Yeah, for sure. So what's your? I mean, so right now, kind of the consensus in the United States really has been that right now for Paradox we're kind of in this like alpha beta stage. I know that in Europe they're having a lot more Paradox focused tournaments, so for them it might not seem so alpha beta because they're like playing to Paradox more. But here we're kind of like, well, we're waiting for Devil Cluster really to kind of mark the beginning of Paradox, because it's the beginning of having 3 clusters is kind of the mindset that people are having. So with that in your mind, and now having tested for Paradox for a bit and played in a Paradox event, what are some of the notable like things that you think are going well for Paradox, or are there things that you think need to be on kind of the watch list as we get closer towards like Trinity 4, Devil Cluster, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think it's interaction based about some stuff, but I think the format has been going very well. They say it is very slow format, which is good. I have not played a slower format since like, I don't know, a long time ago, feels.
Sure.
Usually like games went 5-6 turns, so you play a lot more value based. It's a lot different. You don't play like a lot of insane 1-drops. You play cards that scale into the matchup as well.
Sure.
So it's quite different. As for like how events are going, we have not sadly had any event scheduled for you yet, but I think like Paradox will do a lot of good. It's very good to have 2.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. That's great. Rayquaza asking, y'all doing the Grand Prix in April? We'll be streaming it here on the channel. We provide the official coverage on Ruler School for all of these tournaments. So Paul and I will be doing live coverage of that tournament. We will also be traveling to the Minnesota GP in May to provide coverage there. That'll just be me, though, but I'll be joined by Babatunde and Lance Maverick to provide coverage for that in person. And then we have a week in Trinity 4 drops, and then I get to give away this whole big box of stuff at Foul Fest. So we have Minnesota GP a week, and then Foul Fest. So Wild West format, it's gonna be. So I did kind of want to show some of this stuff because we've seen the picture of them, but I think people might want to see kind of what some of these look like a little bit.
Oh my god, Jim, spoiler season for Foul
It's not
Fest?
real. This is all stuff that's been shown. We've already seen pictures of this, but I thought people might want to see in person.
Shush. I want to
So
see it.
hold on, I'm gonna minimize these boys for a minute. So this is me. You can see all of the guys are like down below. So our first, second, and third place, we have our Gil Lapises in metal. So
Oh
bronze.
boy.
So they look really,
Spicy.
really nice.
Oh.
So we have those to give away. So those are nice. We have.
What's in the box?
What's in the box? We have our snakes.
What's in the box?
Oh, Snick. Snick.
For top 8.
Oh, snake woman.
Top 30.
Oh.
Top 32s
Snake.
are gonna get
The luck
Vaucuses
is- oh my.
and mirrors. Rayquaza, why do I have those? Aren't those for the winners? You're right. They are. I'm the tournament organizer for Foul Fest.
No, Jeremy's just the winner.
Which is a GP. I have this box because it's part of the like $15,000 worth of stuff that I'm giving away at the tournament that I'm hosting.
No. Jeremy
And
just
organizing.
likes to pretend like he's getting first place in the tournament.
And second and third. It's all good. It's all good, Rayquaza. It's all good. But no, I am the host of the Force of Will Festival and Grand Prix taking place the first weekend of June at the Radisson Hotel in Kalamazoo, Michigan. We've broken 70 players at this point in time, so first place will be a paid invite to Worlds, which is awesome. Second and third will get unpaid invites to Worlds. We also have promos. We have the side events, everything. All of that stuff. All told, I think if I had to do the math on like fair market value on everything we're gonna give away over the course of the weekend, it's probably like somewhere between like $19,000 to $20,000 worth of stuff. We have a lot.
Pretty good.
If everyone takes everything, right? So last year not everybody took everything, so I still have some of the stuff left over. But like if everyone fully clears me out, it should be probably somewhere between like $19,000 to $20,000 worth of stuff.
That's a lot of euros, right, Dominic?
Damn.
So we also have
I'm impressed
we
with the
have
player account, man.
promo. We have Phalines. We have monthly
Oh.
promos. We have replicant Kaguya's. We've got replicant Dante's. We've got all kinds of stuff there. I'll also showcase. We'll just showcase a couple of these. A volunteer's tribute for a reasonable price. So we also have the Uber free spells, which I will say they look different. They do look different than traditional Ubers of this set. So there's a lot more color to them. So just kind of show those off.
Very spicy.
Monochrome, never heard of her.
Yeah. So we have the high-speed uppercuts, lunar protective life forms, Zaki's new plans, the smokescreen bombs, and Goliath's new command plan. Haha. We have all of those. I do want to show Zaki's. I'm gonna show new plan because I think it looks the
name,
best.
man.
Where's new plan? Here it is.
Here.
That's new plan. That's Phaley.
Comes with the instruction to laugh every time you give it something.
Here it is. So we have the new plan,
Aha!
which is my the new plan looks the best. I think it looks really nice.
New mat idea.
New plan. I thought about it. Unfortunately it works really well on a card. It doesn't really work well design wise on a mat.
Yeah.
It just like cuts weirdly. You just like cut off the face of some of the characters and it looks kind of weird. So what do I do with the rest? The rest we keep for future events and giveaways and stuff. I will say this. This is something that I'm really proud of with what we've created between the Ruler School Circuit kits and FowFest is it is a 100% not-for-profit event. Every single dollar that comes into our event and every single piece of prizing that we have left over after the event, we funnel right back in to the next event. We take no money out of it. Obviously, we cover expenses like the hotel fee, the room rental fee, food for the staff, that kind of stuff. We make sure that our staff are well compensated for their time, but we dump 100% of it back into the tournament. That's just what we do. We pay a fee for Odyssey's staff. We pay for them because they come out and work for us. But we 100% just push it right back in to the event, which is a lot of fun. Which is really cool that we're able to do that. This is our third time hosting at the Radisson, I think. Yeah.
My first time going.
So it's gonna be a good time.
Same.
Everybody.
We know, Mike.
Everybody.
Wait, Dominic, are you going?
Dominic's gonna be
Yes, I'm coming as well. I'm flying over from
there. Everybody should be there. It's currently we have players from Panama, Austria, Canada, and the UK and the United States all coming at minimum.
I'm the EU representative. Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, who was in the UK still? I feel like I haven't heard anything.
Echo.
from
Echo's
the
coming.
UK.
Echo's coming.
Oh, God. Ah, so fun. My God. Getting the band back together again.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Ooh.
great. It's gonna be a
Heck
great time.
I can't wait to slow play because I can't read fucking cards.
It's okay. Rayquaza, what is a Wanderer League? Need that Fatally promo. It just means a place where you play Wanderer. Like any store
Pretty much
where you get to
any
play
local game store, yeah.
any local game store where you can play Wanderer that is officially registered as a tournament store should get those promos. So and that's I have so much more. I have art books, I have wall scrolls, I have playmats, I have the 3D printed Priscia deck boxes, I have Force of Will official life trackers, I have banners, I have sleeves, I have dice, I have old school, like hard to find playmats. I have this year's suite of.
I mean, if you really want to seal the deal on getting me to come, you should have Replicant make a Valentina 3D printed deck box.
Listen, I don't have any
Yes,
control over
for me.
Replicant, so.
I know you don't.
Replicant.
It's fine. Replicant. Oh.
Replicant.
So yeah, Samuel Rosario can't wait until FowFest. Neither can we, because then I can get all this stuff out of my house.
Dominic, France is like right next.
Oh,
Dominic,
no.
France is like right next door to you guys, right?
Yeah,
It should be fine. You can go and get me a deck box, right?
I have so much.
I'll take so much off of your hands, man.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, by all means, please, by all means. So, with that in mind, I do want to talk about Neeb. Paul and I have been doing a lot of playing of a lot of different decks of Masterpiece 2. We've been playing a lot of different rulers, going through the gambit. And I do want to kind of reflect a little bit on what our thoughts are on Masterpiece 2 as a whole. But I have to step away for 1 second to take care of something. So I'm going to graciously leave the floor to the three of you to talk about whatever you want until I get back. Please don't make me regret this.
Oh gosh.
We will. Don't worry, Jeremy. Before we reflect, I will refrain from doing anything stupid.
Cool. Well, Polar School is now in session. Everybody, please turn in your homework or you're expelled. That's why we put expel in the game. We have homework. Mike, did you do it? You didn't do it. Okay.
No, I finally read the extension rule. I know that Giotto Gill's fucked up now. Why does it say all those words?
Good job, Mike. That's what we wanted. That's what we wanted to hear. That was your homework to read the extension rule. So my initial thoughts of Fates Reunited. This is not any sort of value judgment. I just know from my experience so far that when you have the Fate Regalia, going first feels really, really, really good. And going second feels...
It does very much depend on the deck you're playing. Like in some decks, it doesn't matter as much.
I have very positive thoughts on the set.
Oh, that's nice.
I don't know what that is.
Where's the? Oh, this is the contents of the full arts that I got from my thing, and also the God Pack with the gold Lumia that I probably should be playing for this tournament.
That's real.
Damn. No,
Wait,
I think like
hold on.
Fate Regalia is sorry.
Dom, do you know a way to make Lenneth, like OG AO1 Lenneth work? Because I still have the gold plated one.
Yeah, sure. You can
probably show off.
You can play Paint the Servant, and you can just play the 0-drop Regalias to trigger her.
Oh, I think I know what I'm bringing.
There you go.
I played it with Magus and it works. I played Fire Pit Trap and then just made a lot of mana.
Okay, I'm back.
Welcome back, Jeremy. We figured out what I'm bringing to FowFest.
When are we doing it?
Oh, I'm bringing my gold plate Lenneth, and we're gonna build me a Lenneth deck.
Okay, sounds good.
Paint the Servant.
So far, I have started off with the controversial statement that against one another, I will say this as well. This is a very important nuance. Against one another, the Fates Reunited Regalia rulers feel very good going first, but feel a little awkward going second, less consistent going second. I disagree. I know you disagree. That's why I said
on some of them. On some of them, I do agree. Like I agree.
Yeah.
Like the difference in playing Feasting going first versus second is like miles apart, right? It feels drastically different. Zero, not so much. Zero feels pretty much the same going first or second.
Zero feels fine.
Kaguya feels
She probably feels like one of the best.
Kaguya feels the same going first or second. Fox also, I think Fox feels the same going first or second. Adelbert feels way different going first or second, I think. Because you need that card like live. So
yeah, but I think like on some points, it's about building the deck so it doesn't impact you as much.
Sure.
I agree.
So yeah, I mean, like Valentina is one that I think going first or second. I mean, Valentina, I think, wants both the Regalia and the Sub-Ruler active, right? Like, she wants to have both. So it doesn't really matter necessarily for her. It's just, like, very hard to judgment her, too. So sometimes it's like, the Regalia is kind of usually enough. Like, the Sub-Ruler is nice, but the Regalia is kind of enough. At least the ones that I've played so far.
That's
Fox
been
feels fine.
The significant quality difference is if it feels bad to perform Judgment to get the Fate activation, then the Fate feels bad going second.
Yeah.
So like, Fox is different.
Which I would also agree is different there too, because like Feasting doesn't really care about Tama being on the on the Sub-Ruler side. Tom just wants the cost discount for the elves, right? And so the cost discount exists on both the Regalia and the Sub-Ruler side. So it's like, kind of fine. But it does feel different to have to like spend your opening turns getting Tama out as opposed to just spamming the board with elves. For sure. In the Fate Mirror, I will say, there is kind of, it's an advantage to go first in Fate versus Fate, but it's not like that's the game. Like, we rolled the dice, who went first wins, right? As long as you're building for it and respecting it properly. It's like not insurmountable, at least from what I've seen. Because Paul, you and I have played games where like I've gone first versus second and I've still done fine going second, and you've done fine going second, and like they've been close games.
Yeah, it's not a complete blowout, but there is a significant drawback. And when I've not played a Fate Ruler, it's felt a little bit more manageable.
Sure.
So like I said at the top of this, like I don't have a value judgment against that, right? It's not like, oh, this is good or this is bad. It's just that's a really interesting balancing that they added into that version of the deck. If you are playing a Fate Regalia Ruler, that's a natural outcome that you're going to see for a lot of rulers. And the ones that can overcome that the most are probably going to be the best ones.
Yeah, for sure. The one thing that's interesting, I think the one ruler that I want to look into more, and I'm curious, and I'm not really necessarily surprised that she hasn't necessarily seemed like an actually good competitive option, at least like off the jump, is Priscia. And I'll say that the weirdness about Priscia is like all of her cards cost 2. She doesn't have a good starter for turn 1, which is kind of weird. As the aggro deck, you'd think that she'd want to have a starter for turn 1. At least not that's obvious, right? That you'd want to have a starter for turn 1. All of her like here we go cards start in the 2-drop slot. Guardian Dragon, Snake, playing Regalia, like all of them like kind of have that weird like they come in the 2-drop slot, which protects them from things like Mirror, but as the deck that wants to go burr is a little bit awkward for her, right? Great. If someone's figured it out for how to make Priscia do well, awesome. 100% for sure. That's great. I just she has to play a lot slower going second. Priscia's a threat, especially going first. Calling Stone and Burning for 3 cannot be ignored. That's fair. Possibly true. And then your opponent, plays Millium and flips and cheats a Star Scale into the opener, and you're like, okay, well, it was fun while it lasted, boys.
Well, that's an interesting point you bring up too, because there are like within the suite of Masterpiece 2 rulers, there are just like hard checks, right? There are just like completely opposite ends of the scale, right?
Yeah,
which I think is also a really interesting thing to see in the deck design. re-examining these rulers and having them like all feel pretty leveled out.
Yeah, it's pretty close. There's some that
yeah.
I think like on their surface have like 70-30s, right? Like I think like Millium versus Prisia, Millium has star scale, which makes the burn less relevant. Could potentially mess with the stone base element, although she wants resonance, so she probably has stone types. But then she what's his name? Constantino's one hell of a card against aggro decks, right? Like, there's some tricky stuff there. Is the stone base for decks still fairly greedy for something like Starscale? No, I'm talking in that instance about like the anti-burn part of Starscale, just being able to tap it and say like, I don't take burn damage for the turn. Like,
so that's a good topic as well. The stone base is pretty greedy, because a lot of people are also playing like 2 or 3 Scry Stones to fix the colors to not take a lot of damage. It is very greedy, so you can punish on the stone base.
Holzheiser, if this is a 40-person event, there would only be 1 million. Yeah, for sure. But you bring up a great point here, Holzheiser. Yeah, if you see 1 million at an event, if you see it, you guys, you lose, you not worry about it. 100%. I get that for sure. That's the one thing too, is that like, I think going into this meta, the one lesson I would want to have people that I would be wanting to see as we get more and more tournament data is like, how much are people playing scared, or how much are people just like acknowledging natural variance in what people are going to play and just play it. Jess Wayne, Steve Jess Wayne said something this past weekend about like, so many people complained or have harped about how prevalent Giotto was going to be, and outside of exclusively playtesting against someone who specifically wanted to playtest Giotto, I have never paired up into a Giotto at any event I have played at. And it's just like, oh, so maybe don't be afraid. Right?
Now's your chance. Make them afraid.
So it's one of those things where it's just like recognizing that threats or bad matchups don't like, not everyone's going to be playing your bad matchup, and like prepare for the bad matchup and acknowledge that your bad matchup exists, but don't let it stop you from playing. You're back, Paul.
I'm back? Okay. Oh, cool. I was going to say, the thing that I find so interesting about building for this, and Neeb, you're going to have to let me know if you feel the same way, but I have been trying to actively ignore older support for a majority of the rulers that I'm playing. And the reason is because the playstyle that the creators want us to have for these rulers right now, I want to see what they are trying to make me do, so that I can maybe pivot away, and like, because there are some of the older cards that just don't translate well. Mostly Mikage's stuff did not translate well, right? So I'm like actively looking away from the old support and trying to see what they want me to do with the new support. Big exception, K4.
I do want to talk specifically. I think this is a really good example.
I do agree.
And Neep, go ahead and say what you were going to say. I'm going to bring up something real quick.
So I agree. I think like there are some cards that are older that do fit into the profile, but not every card that is originally designed also works again with the new masterpiece version of it. I think that's a very true statement, but it's like, it's natural. Some stuff can't be.
Here it is. So I do want to say, I want to give a good example here. I want to look specifically at my Fox list that I have on the channel, right? I'm going to put it up on screen here. So if you look at it, this is a good kind of example of like not playing scared, right? Is like, this deck is acknowledging that like, what are the two things that are these like concerning cards is like Mask and Giotto, right? So it's like, okay, against Mask, this is a pretty heavily resonator based deck. So like, I should have ways to be able to play around it. I have points of interaction. I have ways to answer things. I'm primarily resonator driven. I have ways in the main board to answer a Mask with things like Spark of Life, or things like Suya, or things like that. If I'm playing against a deck like Giotto, I need to be able to have threats without relying on too many making too many chimeras, right? But so you have things like Val Raven to push that damage quickly, or trying to go into an old hand gimmick. Like if the one chimera you're gonna get is an old hand gimmick, is a chimera. Like if you only have a window to be able to get one chimera, old hand gimmick seems like a pretty good chimera to get, right? It can apply a lot of pressure and do some pretty cool stuff there. You'll also notice here that my sideboard, I'm playing a doubt here. I don't like the doubt anymore. I've actually since taken it out. But the sideboard is only playing 5 chimeras. So like in Fox, I'm only playing 5. You don't need more than that. And so then I'm like, okay, cool. So things like Fates Reunited can be very good against things like Ashwin, to stop Ashwin from being able to make herself bigger, right? And be able to, make stuff not have barrier. And then, Three-Eyed Black Goat, even more goat hate with an extra redstone, so that if I need to go heavily into an anti-mask package, I can. The Yigdor line, right? That's very easy for me to board out against Giotto, because, it's never going to get reanimated. Same with, but Rhea's not a terrible card to just have, right? To be able to box stuff. Things like Wu Zhao Wu in a power suit, like threats that aren't reliant on the Chimera. The idea is
card,
that
by the way.
very good card, just in general right now. Luck of Corruption, to be able to sneak and pick cards, right? So you can look at this shell and you can see Fox in this. But this list recognizes that Fox doesn't have to be everything about this list in order to be competitive. So I filled out the rest of the space with an acknowledgement of what other things I expect to be competitive, right? And that's kind of what deck building is right now, I think, is the big lesson, is finding out how much of your deck has to be the core and recognizing the proper ratio there, and then filling out the rest of it with what you need to be able to play into bad matchups or things you expect to see there.
I agree 100%. It's it feels like you are rewarded for very rewarded for good deck building, and for acknowledging what is weak in your deck but can work, but also minimize the risk of running into too much recycling stuff that you run into a problem when you play against such a deck.
Right. And things like one-hit KO anesthesia, right? One-hit KO, what's a good thing that people are going to try to use against Fox is okay, they're going to try to Lorite me. We're going to try to rip Lorites out of their hands with things like high-speed uppercuts and lookup corruptions, but they might try to do Alabasters. Okay, resolve, one-hit KO anesthesia. Get that out of the board, still got my thing, right? I think the old version of this deck was playing high speed, or I think the finalized version does have high speed uppercuts main boarded, at least a couple copies. This version on here doesn't. I think I trimmed one Rhea, and I might have cut the Messenger Lilius Petal out of the deck completely, because it's kind of not really necessary, to be perfectly honest, just to make room for a couple of high speeds. But, there's a lot of, I think deck building right now is a lot of not playing afraid right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have to play they're not gonna have the out, but you don't have to put yourself in the corner and say, I can't play nothing, because you're not gonna play against Giotto every game.
Right. 100%. We have one person at our locals currently playing Jill Giotto. So I acknowledge that matchup exists, and so I'm sideboarded properly against it. If I get paired up against him, great. If I don't, fine. It's fine. Our locals have been playing a lot of different things. We have had almost no overlap between any of our players on a week-to-week basis, except for Paul and I when we're trying to get the same deck recorded a million times.
That's good though, because it means that it is reliance.
Yeah, I mean, there's go ahead.
Unlike my locals up here in Ionia, where everyone was playing K4 and 0. It's stop.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's this piece of, that's why I'm really interested to see what attendance is like at the April GP and what decks end up getting brought and what the breakdown is, right? Because like if you're playing at an American GP, the idea of, oh, we know what people are going to be playing, don't even lie to yourself. You don't. United States players never make sense in what we bring to the table. We always bring what we want to
I've
play.
seen this. I saw so many Keurigs back in Raya Cluster when it was not the best deck. I know a thing or two about American players will bring whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
True.
Yeah, Yo-Yo, why? If you over-respect Giotto or Mask, you will win against Giotto or Mask, but then lose against everything else. It's a weird balance. Right. Is this world about, like, finding a matchup that's a 60-40, not your favor, doing everything you can to learn that matchup, and acknowledge that you might have a matchup that's 60-40, not your favor? Right? Like, just and being comfortable in that. Like, which is weird because we're competitive players. We want everything to be in our control. We want to know everything. We want to have the deck that's perfectly safe into everything. It just doesn't exist right now. There doesn't exist that point. And so I get that that's frustrating, but it is what the competitive event is right now. And if the weirdness is that trickles down to the semi-competitive level where we are having a blast. Like, we're having a great time in the semi-competitive because everyone's just kind of playing whatever and having a great time with it. Yeah, you had a USA player one time at your Yu-Gi-Oh! Local Brigade Exodia deck.
What?
There it is.
Wait, like old Exodia
That's
or
the USA.
new Exodia?
That's the USA way. You know.
That's old Exodia, not new Exodia.
Yeah, for sure.
2013, 2014.
I just think there's this piece of like you can't assume that the thing that you think is the most popular is the most popular, because quite often, and the data in Force of Will's history has proven over and all, that the most popular deck will maybe be 10% of the room. Like maybe 15% of the room in a large scale tournament. Now, obviously, the Paradox event this past weekend, people on Glorious Mask had a mission. They wanted to prove that Glorious Mask is something in Paradox that they want to get hit. Like, so we had a quarter of the field, right? That's fair. 100% respected. But if you start to hit like 50, 60, 70 player events, the most popular deck is probably going to be like 8 or 9 copies tops. So you got another 60 players that you got to deal with. It's not just that. So be ready and have fun. Neeb, who has been your favorite ruler for Masterpiece so far to play with?
That is
that's a hard one. I would want to say Edelbert, probably. Yeah, Edelbert or Valentina.
Mm-hmm. Well, what about you?
Oh my gosh. I would say my favorite aggro deck has been Lulu for sure. My favorite control deck has been Mikage. And if you didn't think I was going to say control Mikage, you haven't really met me. I love control Mikage. And then probably from some sort of like combo environment, I don't know. Wukong was not very great, but he was very fun. I'm just glad to see like Son Goku finally getting some love.
Sure. I think for
I gotta say,
me,
it was pretty good.
I think for me, my favorites so far have been Fox, Millium, and Alhamat. You'll see Alhamat get played 3 weeks from now. Not this week, not next week, but the week after that. You'll see Alhamat get played. I would say like Fox is the control, Alhamat's the combo, and then like Millium's kind of the aggro list because of, you know, just trying to keep all your stuff tapped and just beating you over the head with Puss in Boots. Like, that's just the game plan, right? So it's the aggro in that sense. I haven't gotten to try Lulu yet. We're already quickly reaching the point for the channel where we have every single ruler covered at least once, and then it gets fun because then we don't have to care. anymore, and we can just kind of build whatever we want and record what we got, which is nice. Paul might be hinting a little bit about what he's got on his docket there for that.
Might be deck building right now.
Yeah.
Maybe.
The thing is, if say Mask gets banned, can you search assemble the broken mask instead? Yeah. 100%.
Sorry, that was too Uber. What exactly was that ruler need?
That was Adelbert.
That was Adelbert?
Adelbert.
Okay,
Oh
so
God.
it's too Uber. I
Very
can't tell.
Uber Adelbert.
We have to have to get Dark Tree. I'm very interested to see how Dark Tree plays out.
Yeah,
the Dark Tree is going to be really interesting.
Jeremy, when we're going to get updated Carlina content?
As soon as probably when Devil Cluster drops, I imagine. That's probably
when we get Carlina support.
When their support for her comes out, which will probably be Devil Cluster. I mean, that's a good. I mean, we've talked about this.
Playing again.
We've talked about this.
Have you tried playing Carlina in this day and age?
No.
Oh my God, it's horrendous.
No, we need more of her support first. So
thoughts and prayers for Carlina players.
We've talked about how Devil Cluster is probably going to be going back to the world of like what happens if it's following the paradox timeline. There's a question of like, is this what happens in the world of the demonic world where the game of gods never happens? So then Faria and all of them don't break it and kill Satan, right? If we're thinking like timeline wise. So then it's like, oh, okay, what's that going to look like? This means that like Dante didn't kill Satan. This means Virgil doesn't do his shenanigans. Like what comes out of that? So I'm curious to see what comes out of there. Feel like a lot of the MP2 decks are able to be built as anywhere from aggro to control. Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of variants in there. You can also build there are some decks you can build in 5 different ways.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Especially those single color rulers.
Books.
Books. I found it really interesting. I have been what's been very fascinating for me in deck building, and I don't know if you felt this way, Jeremy, too, but I've seen your deck list after the fact, but I'm not gravitating toward like a ton of colors. Right? I'm
feeling very comfortable in 2. I'm feeling very comfortable in 2 with a splash of a third sometimes. But like I don't really even feel like I need it. Because like I
gave you the feasting deck, right?
Yeah, and for the most part. I was like, this is just mono green.
My list was just solid green cards for a while, and then you took it and you put in white, and I'm like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it's fine.
But yeah, I guess that makes sense.
I think
fascinating.
I think the comfort in single color splash second color for the generically good tech cards is like pretty commonly doable here, right? Like like green splash white for things like Zero's Light Lightning and Girl Staring At and stuff like that is just like, and Lunar Protect, stuff like that is like, oh, okay, that's pretty easy to do. Or if you look at the main board of my Fox list, it's just green black. I'm playing some redstones in there because I have a Shiva in the sideboard and I want to be able to play Black Goat in game 2 if I'm playing against Mask. But like the deck itself, the main deck is just all green black. So
also the same thing for Paradox. And a lot of people complained beforehand before Paradox wonder that you always play 5 color piles. I think they did a very good job in Paradox because you're playing 2 colors. You get very much punished for playing 3 because of the stones. It is you have to be very careful. So it's very good to see that you can't play everything, but you can play some stuff. That's good.
Babatunde, you mentioned earlier your ears peaked up at Dark Tree. If I give you a Dark Tree list when you come at the Ruler School event on the 12th, you want to play it? I can sleeve it up for you.
There you go.
Neeb and I have been trying to workshop Dark Tree a little bit, so we'll try to figure it out for you. I honestly, Fairy Tale fam, I remember being laughed at while playing White back in the day, seeing White be. I honestly think White's like the strongest color.
Definitely.
I think
White's a very good color.
I think White is kind of the strongest color in the game right now, at least as like both in terms of main deck color and splashable. Like it's got very good options both ways. I had him at Dark Tree. Okay, Neeb, we gotta get to work. We gotta finalize this Dark Tree list for Baba.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll make it work.
Can you give us a sneak peek? Are you doing Zeben stuff or not?
Kind of a little bit. I think we were touching like I think we had the 7 kings and we were making the tokens and then we had dragon and I think that was it.
Yeah.
Like that was the only
Kind of.
Zeben stuff we were playing with.
And of course, Pathetic Demise.
Yes, and Pathetic Demise because sometimes we just get to cast a 16 drop for 0 and then kill them.
I think the 1-drops are pretty solid, so there's no there's a good place to play them.
White is just missing a win con. They need to make a card that lets them expel your opponent's ruler for 3 or 4 mana.
No, please no.
No, thank you.
No.
White's win con, thinking through the white decks in this deck
So
is like
funny.
Milliam's win con is just beating you to death with Puss in Boots because those are huge. Zero's win con is 0 and 4. The book's win con is Bookworm if you're playing white base Bookworm. There's a lot of other things you can do, but white base books is bookworming you to death. What other white? There's not a lot of white rulers in Masterpiece, to be honest. It was like Milliams, 0, books. That's it.
Lumia.
I mean, yeah, I
Lulu.
guess Lulu. Yeah, kind of.
Lumia. Yeah. Glorious is a white ruler.
0 is the only white deck, and it needs to be stopped. I disagree with you, wholly and considerably. It's just that's just Holsizer. That's just Holsizer Salt.
Holshizer being Holshizer.
How can I be so wrong? Very simple. I've played against 0 and beaten it multitudes of times.
Who would win in a fight? The entire Rule Square podcast or one Holshy boy?
I thought they were pretty competent. I think they were pretty competent 0 players.
Amazing. Amazing.
Just say get good to Holshizer. It's fine. I think don't get me wrong. I think 0's good.
Oh.
I think 0's good. I disagree that she's the only white deck. I disagree with that. Hard. I disagree with that immensely.
Yeah, I would say Milliam is definitely in there.
I think the books are also really good. I think the books.
I was very close to beating. I felt very comfortable playing against 0 with Lucy this past week because I'm testing Lucy out right now. I felt very comfortable. The thing that Lucy obviously struggles with is decisive wins. Like, okay, I win the game now.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, like putting on pressure and I win.
Other than
and so I think if I would have had that, other than judgment, which can take a lot,
right.
Yeah, this is gonna be
Did
good.
you play tank?
I did not play tanks.
That's,
I am not a tank believer. I love tank to death, but I'm not a tank believer. They played tanks, and tank and 0 is very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
There's a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun, both in the hyper competitive space and the semi competitive space, right? I think that's also really important to distinguish, right? Is that I think Milliam is rogue, whatever to you. Okay. So I think in the semi competitive space, there's a whole lot of just to still explore. In the hyper competitive, I still think that there's a lot of space. I just think the level in which you have to respect Giotto and Mask it goes up when you go into the hyper competitive, but that doesn't mean that you can't do other stuff. You don't have to just play the 2 of them. So a lot of cool things, which makes me excited. Looking
forward to what people cook.
You're playing. You have a locals over there in Austria. What's the Austrian scene like in terms of what do y'all gravitate towards as a player base? Are we controlling? Are we aggro? Are we combo? What are we doing?
Mixed actually. We have combo, control, aggro players. It's
That's
quite
good.
actually mixed.
That's good to
Everything
hear.
must be very efficient. Yeah.
We do have a player that loves this card though, so
You're always gonna get one of those.
Mask is the control deck and the only control deck, period. Also disagree. Why y'all coming out of here with the absolutes? Because it's not true. Like you
Croc Sharks is the only deck to play. Doesn't get affected by Mask.
I mean
Easy
that's
clap.
that's true. That's true. 100%. That's correct. It's just Crocker Sharks.
It's just Crocker Sharks.
If you play against Adelbert yet, that is a control deck.
Yeah, so
That's
yeah. It's there's a lot of flexibility here. We have a lot of control decks, a lot of aggro decks. We've talked this before. Like it feels like it's like a mid-rangey format where you have decks that go a little bit outside of that, a little bit slower than that, a little bit faster than that. But like the core tempo is still kind of a very mid-range format, which feels accurate. Best control deck is Misung. There you go. Speak your truth, Jeremy Lindley.
Just fighting words.
You want to see more tournaments to see
Misung's real?
Yeah,
he can pop the Fate Regalia. Unless they don't have an enter.
Oh my god.
Unless they don't have an enter effect and then judgment immediately, and then Misung's like, oh wait, I can't. Okay.
Jeremy Lindley, please. No, the only reason I want to do this is that at FowFest I can play Misung and do all the poses with each card that I play.
Croco Sharks in 2025.
I need it to be real.
You
I'll make it happen, Baba. It's fine.
Yeah. A lot of stuff, go ahead.
I think there are a lot of rogue tiers, like rogue tier rulers, that are being, now that the format is mid-range, you can play because they're a bit slower, but they do stuff a bit more efficient, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. Which is why I'm very excited to see what we're going to get out of the April GP. Like, there's a lot of space, 3 invites on the line. So first place, at least according to the website, is a paid invite to Worlds, even for an online event, which is pretty sick. So we'll have to see what gets brought out of there. I do want to say, missed it at the top of the show, but as we get to the end of the show, you can get your pre-orders for 10 oaths through Odyssey Games right now. There is a link in the description. And if you do in-store pickup and put a note in at checkout saying pick up at FowFest, they'll have your product for you on site at FowFest.
Well, look at that.
So you can order your product through Odyssey and they will bring it to you to play at to have at FowFest. So you can pick it up on Friday night before the main event.
Crack some packs, then crack some heads.
Crack some packs. Should be a good time. Next week, we're going to have CCG Prime on because we're going to be talking more about FowFest specifically. We're going to be talking about side events. We're going to be talking about what people want to see, what do people expect. We'll be talking about prize wall structure, doing some more announcement kind of stuff. I'm kind of hoping we get FowFest playmats in by then for me to be able to showcase. If not, as soon as we can, as soon as we get them. It's 119 playmats showing up at my house for this event.
Hooray!
How long are pre-orders usually? I want to see some spoilers first. I mean, Odyssey sells out pretty decently quick, at least in terms of, but they always try to go back to the distributor to like re-up their pre-order numbers. Like if they sell out, they go back and say, hey, can we have more? And Odyssey and CCG Prime, regardless of pre-orders, will have product of 10 outs on site for purchase on site. CCG Prime will be serving as our singles vendor, and we'll also have some sealed product and running some side events. And then Odyssey will always also bring supplies like sleeves and deck boxes and stuff, and also sealed product, including like older pre-release kits and other stuff that they want to try to move. So if you want to pick up some cool legacy products for your for doing drafts or sealeds or your sealed collections or whatever, that'll be available too. Why the 19 seems like an odd number? That's a fair point.
It is an odd number. It's not even.
It's not. It's because of printing for raffles, for the prize wall, for top cut, because we do top 16, top 8, and champion all like get playmats of a different version. We also get we're going to have raffle play mats available, and then we'll have the prize wall mats available as well. So it works out to be 119 playmats, all things considered.
No, sealed deck side events. That's funny.
Yeah, we'll be doing that. We'll be doing ABC on-demand pods, and for those of you who don't have an ABC deck, we will have all 11 of the ABC starter decks available for rent for free, sleeved up and ready to use. Those will just be available for use, which is awesome.
No, we rent if it's free, is it? It's more like borrowing.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I'm gonna take your ID when you take a deck.
Hey, there you go.
So that I
collateral, baby.
Like,
there you go.
Check out a deck. So I guess we'll have the decks for checking out. You can check out a deck, and I will take your ID, and then you can go play.
Give me your library card. Give me your library cards, Jeremy.
Yes, give me your library card. We'll have cosplay there. I do want to. Oh, I guess I can try and see if I can post it here. Y'all have to wait to see. But the Bianchi cosplay is done. the Bianchi cosplay is done. So that's all good and done. I spent this past weekend working on the wig and finally finishing touches. So that'll be exciting. Saying I could trade your ID for it. You don't get to keep the ID. You don't get to keep the deck.
but they get the ID.
Right.
Jeremy, you have their ID now.
You assume that I care about my identity.
Take Dominic's passport. Here you go. Enjoy.
What if my identity
is this? I need to go back to Austria.
Hey, we had an agreement that if we broke 100 players, I'd be Kimie. I don't remember saying this.
It's a good idea though.
Pretty cheap.
Got the wig.
We are, but yeah, we're on right now. Like I said, we're on pace for over 100 players. We're currently over 70 at this point in time. I think we're actually between people who pre-registered and people who I know for a fact are 100% coming. Nothing is stopping them. They just haven't pre-registered yet. We're sitting at around like 88 players.
That is insane.
That's pretty good.
So we're on pace to break 100.
Sure. When's the last time we had a 100-person FOW event?
Pre-COVID.
2015.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID.
I don't think in EU we ever had a event over 50. I can think of.
Mufasa should be Kiki, yes.
Well, also, maybe I should
time to pre-register to boost the numbers. You can pre-register. You can pre-register right now if you want to go pre-register for FowFest. We still have base tiers and mid tiers available, and remember that the mid tier tickets include a free side event. he'll probably be getting suspicious if you keep visiting the ABC booth and grabbing more decks with more IDs. Yeah, for sure. Yes, I will be like, hey, by the way, stop taking my decks, please.
But I got a new ID for you, bud. Here you go.
Yeah, go ask the TO. Does it have to be a real ID? I need the star. I need the star.
Hey, let's go.
I need it to be a star ID. I'll have the blue light to like scan it.
With a fake ID to steal one of Jeremy's decks, I will be appalled and incredibly proud of you.
Someone shows up in a cosplay with an ID of the cosplay, and it's like the classic like trick-or-treater where the kid just puts on a new costume every time it comes back, but it's an ID matching the cosplay every time. It's like, oh, hey, Zero, how's it going? Here's a deck. Oh, hey, Feetsing, here's a deck.
Wow. I thought you were not real.
My list, crazy. Here you go.
Oh my god, Jace the Mind Sculptor in my Force of Will
Ballesta?
Crazy.
I didn't realize Ballesta was your last name. Interesting. Here you go.
Mr. Ballesta. Nice to meet you.
Mr. Ballesta.
Oh, please. Mr. Ballesta is my father. Call me Bruce.
Neep, aren't you glad that you took a nap and woke up at 3 a.m. to join whatever the heck this was?
Yeah, definitely.
We are sorry.
It's fucked up that you had to wake up at 3 a.m. just for this.
Well,
who wants to talk about Force Will at 3 a.m? Joe Boy, 3 a.m.
Yeah. So that is going to be it for us for tonight. Great pod. Thank you all so much for being here. Again, check out all the links in the descriptions for everything. Some housekeeping notes for this week. Tomorrow we will have the Valentina 4 deck profiles up from last week. We will be getting an Umir deck profile up later this week. Wednesday, you get to see the showdown between Paul on Mikage versus Sol and his students.
Mikage 2-0. Woo!
So you get to see that. And then next week you will get to see Paul with Mikage versus Glorious Charlotte. We're gonna knock through those as well. Then we're gonna have Alhamat versus Fox. Then we're gonna try to get Prissia versus K4, and then I'm gonna find something to play Featsing against, and then eventually the books too. We're getting there. We have a little bit of time, but a lot of stuff coming up in the next coming weeks, so be sure to check that out. If you like what we're doing, want to consider supporting the channel and joining as a member, you can join us in the link in the description below. Otherwise, we thank you for just liking and subscribing and sharing out the podcast with everybody and tuning back in to those videos. So, as always, this has been myself, DMO73, and I've been joined by Paul Reisman. That was a sentence.
Goodbye, everybody.
My Grants.
Jeremy smells burnt toast. Nobody called the ambulance.
And from across the pond over in Austria, our good friend, Neeb Valungen. Thank you very much for joining us, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Everybody
Class
get
dismissed,
Valungen.
everybody. Bye.
Sleep well, man.
Thank you.